To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigo Learn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
Let's now discuss section number 7, which is incorporation of the company. So far I was saying that the company needs to be registered in order to come into existence. This whole chapter is about incorporation. So of course we have to study how a company is incorporated, how to register a company. So this section number 7 is talking about registering a company. So if you study this section, you yourself will also be able to register any company. So you can go help some of your friends who want to make a company and charge them some fees. So let's study now this section number 7. So when we say incorporation, we mean registering of the company. So let's understand this with an example. Now you also have to register yourself with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in order to give the exam. So if you remember, the first time you had registered with the institute, you had to submit certain documents. So if you remember, what all documents you had to submit? So you had to fill a form which was prescribed by the institute. So you filled that form, you put in all your details regarding your name, your father's name, your age, and a lot more other details with respect to your qualifications so far. So you had put in all those details in the form. Then at the end of the form, there was a declaration. If you remember, there was something written like this, that I, and then your name, son and daughter of, then your father's or your mother's name, and then it was written that declare that all the details mentioned in this form are true and correct. And under that you had to sign, or maybe you had to attach the sign online. But you had to sign that declaration stating that whatever information you had given, that is correct. Apart from that, you also had to attach some documents. So now with respect to your result, probably you had to attach a few mark sheets. Now those were compulsory attachments which you had to submit along with the form. Now other than that, you were also required to pay some fees. So these were the 4 main things that you did when you wanted to register for your exams, or you wanted to register as a student for the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So you had to submit the form, you had to fill the declaration, you had some attachments that you had to submit, and you had to pay the fees. And then when you submitted those documents to the institute, after some time, the institute sent you back a letter saying that now on, this is your registration number and you are a student of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So this is a simple process. So now if you see that even the registration of a company is also very simple. It is also very similar to the same registration that we just discussed, that is your student registration. So there is a form, there are details that have to be filled in the form. Then there is a declaration. So now who is going to sign this declaration? So it is the initial subscribers of the company that have to sign a declaration stating that everything in the form was correct. And there are some attachments also. Some forms and documents have to be submitted along with this form. And there is a prescribed fees. So what are all those documents? What is this form? What is this procedure? Let's now understand this. So let's go back to our example. There was Amar, Akbar and Anthony, and they wanted to start a company. So we are going back a little bit in time where they had not yet registered the company and they wanted to register the company. So what are the steps they will have to accomplish? So now Amar, Akbar and Anthony are engineers. They don't know how to register a company. So suppose they went to a chartered accountant and they asked the chartered accountant to register the company for them. So now what is the procedure that the chartered accountant will follow? Let's study that step by step. The CA will ask all 3 of them what is the name of the company that they want to keep. So the first thing is to select a name. If you remember, we had discussed that the name has to be reserved for some time, and during that time the company will have to file all the relevant documents in order to register it. So the promoters have to file certain documents in the time wherein the name is reserved for a particular company. So the first step is reservation of name. So here Amar, Akbar and Anthony will have to figure out one name that they want to keep for the company. Now see, selecting one name is a slightly risky task because it may very well happen that that name is already the name of some other company in the entire country. So therefore, So there is a list of 6 names that Amar, Akbar and Anthony will have to suggest. They should be in the list of priority, in the sequence of priority. That is, the first name should be the first preference name also, and if the first name is not available, then the second name may be used, and if the second is also not available, then third, and so on and so forth. So the first step is to reserve the name. So there, these 3 will have to submit a list of 6 names in sequence of priority, and then these names will be submitted by the chartered accountant under form INC1, and then the name will be reserved along with some prescribed fees, and he will submit this form. So with the submission of this form, the name will be reserved. So suppose we have reserved the name Fruits and Vegetables Private Limited. So this was one of the 6 names and it got selected by the MCA. So what does that mean? See, this form is submitted on the site of mca.gov.in. So when this form is submitted, then one of the name out of the 6 names will be selected by the registrar. That is, it might get selected online. So there will be an acknowledgement that will be received from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to the CA in this situation, because CA is handling the whole procedure. Hence, he will get a notification from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs saying that the name Fruits and Vegetables Private Limited has been reserved for a period of 20 days for this company. So within a period of 20 days, this company has to file all the relevant documents so that it can be incorporated. However, if they do not file it in 20 days, then this name shall be open for anybody to take. So the name will be reserved. So we had already discussed that the name is reserved for 20 days in case of a new company and 60 days in case of an existing company which wants to change the name. So that is the first step, reservation of name. So then what is going to happen in these 20 days where the name is reserved for this company, or we can say to be formed company? So in these 20 days, the promoters will have to prepare some documents and they will have to submit those documents. So the second step is preparation of Memorandum of Association and Article of Association. So now Memorandum and Article of Association are primary documents for a company. So they will have to be drafted. So now here Amar, Akbar and Anthony and the CA will sit down and they will think about what are the things that have to be added in the memorandum and what are the things and rules and regulations that need to be added in the Article of Association. So those things have to be decided and they have to be written down in the Memorandum and Article of Association of the company. So now of course we can also use certain predefined format that have been given in Schedule 1. So we had discussed that in Schedule 1, table A, B, C, D, E relate to the Memorandum of Association, and for Article of Association, table F, G, H, I, J have been mentioned. So these prescribed formats can be easily taken by this company also, and they can add further details to the prescribed Memorandum of Association and Article of Association forms. So basically the memorandum and article has to be created by these promoters and the chartered accountant. So that is the second step. Now why is this memorandum and article being prepared? Because along with the incorporation documents, these are 2 attachments that have to be sent. So whenever a company is being incorporated, then a memorandum and article has to be submitted by the company to the registrar as attachment. So we know in the Memorandum of Association, one of the clauses is the subscription clause. So in that subscription clause, some of the people who are willing to take the shares of the company, they sign in that subscription clause. We call them the subscribers of the company. So now it may happen that a company is being incorporated, however, all the subscribers are fake. Now this can happen, this also happens in real life. So therefore it is very important to ensure that these subscribers are real people and they are not fake identities which are being used. So now suppose in our example, Amar, Akbar and Anthony want to create a public company. Now for making a public company, they know that there is a requirement of 7 minimum members. Now they are only 3 members. So they may as well use some fake identifications of 4 other members. So those 4 extra members and their fake identities will be merely to incorporate a public company. So now in that situation, it is important that the registrar also checks that these subscribers are true and fair, that these subscribers are genuine people and they are actually engaged with the company. Therefore, there is this third important document, third important step that has to be followed, which is the identification of all the subscribers along with their particulars, that is their name, their address, their occupation, their age. All of these details have to be submitted. So now in this section, we will not only write the particulars and details about each and every one of the subscribers of the memorandum, but we will also attach an identity proof. So now identity proof, we know it can be driving license or it can be the Aadhaar card. So the identity proof of the subscribers and their particulars. This is the next attachment when a company is being registered. So now if we are forming a company, this company must also have an address. The company must have an established office where it runs its operations. So now do you think the registrar should also be informed about the address of this new company? Yes, of course. So the details of the registered office, that is the main office of the company, will also have to be submitted by the promoters to the registrar. So this is the next attachment, that is the entire address wherein the company wants to establish its registered office. When the promoters are trying to register the company, at that time even the details of the office, that is the location where the company wants to set up its operations, that address also has to be sent to the registrar. So now if the company is being formed, it should have some directors because the company is managed by the directors. So now who is going to be the director when the company comes into existence? So that detail also has to be submitted to the registrar. So the people who will be the directors when the company is incorporated, they are called the first directors because they are actually the first directors of the company. So the details of the first directors have to be submitted as attachments. So what will be the names, their occupations, gender, nationality, their identity proofs and other details also which is required by the registrar. So now every director has a unique number also that is assigned to that person for being a director. It is called the director's identification number, DIN. So you will study the details about this director's identification number in your final syllabus. However, as of now, you just need to know that there is an identification number for every director of a company. So those details also have to be submitted to the registrar. Along with that, with respect to the director, we have to take a signature from the director also that he is agreeing to be the director of the company. We can say that we have to take a consent of the director that he wants to be the director of the company when the company incorporates. So now we know with respect to the director, we need to first of all mention the details about the director, that is the particulars of the director, the name, address and other details. Then we have to specify his DIN number, that is director's identification number of the director has to be specified. Then some identity proof of the director that he actually exists, like the Aadhaar card number or the driving license, they also have to be mentioned in this part. And a consent has to be signed from the director stating that this director actually wants to be part of the company and he wants to be the director. So it is necessary to ensure that the director will actually be part of the company. Hence, we are taking down his signature also. Without his signature, merely writing down the details of a person that he will be the director of the company when the company starts, it does not ensure that this person will actually come. So we need his signature also. These are the 4 details with respect to the director that have to be sent when the company is being registered. So these are all the attachments that have to be submitted with the form. Now, just like if you register with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, then you have to sign a declaration stating that whatever details you have given in the form, they are true and correct. So similarly, here also a declaration has to be filed. Someone has to sign and take responsibility that all these attachments are genuine, that the form and the details contained in the form are also genuine. So here also an affidavit will have to be signed by each of the subscribers. So see, here the subscribers who are signing in the memorandum, they will have to first declare that they are correct people. They are not criminals, they are not offenders. See, when a company is being started, we need to ensure that who are starting the company should be good people. If not good people, at least they should not be criminals. So here, there is one affidavit that has to be signed by every single subscriber. So we know the subscriber are those people who are taking up the shares of the company when the company starts. So in our example, we know that Amar, Akbar and Anthony, these three people will be taking up the shares of the company whenever the company starts. So these three are the subscribers of the memorandum. These three will be signing in the subscription clause. So now they have to file an affidavit. That means on a legal paper they will have to write down some things and sign. So on that affidavit they will have to mention that they are not offenders, they are not criminals, that they have not been penalized under the Companies Act ever before, that they were not associated with any fraud in the formation of any company. They will also have to state that whatever details that they have given in the above attachments and in the form, all of those details are true as per their understanding and knowledge. So they will have to write down all of these details and they will have to sign this affidavit. So this affidavit is also going to be sent to the registrar when a company is being registered. There is one more declaration that has to be filed along with all of these documents. So now this declaration states that all the requirements of the Act with respect to the registration have been complied. So what that means is that all the forms that were required to be submitted, they have been submitted. So this declaration also has to be signed. So now for this declaration, we need two signatures, or we can say that this declaration will be filed by two different people. So who are these two people? See, one of this declaration is going to come from the side of the company. They will have to sign this declaration stating that they have complied with all the laws. So one of the declaration is coming from the side of the company. It has to be signed either by the first director, or if the company will be having some secretary or manager, then whoever that person is, whoever is authorized from the side of the company, they will be signing this declaration that all the requirements of the Act have been satisfied. Now this same declaration has to also be signed by a professional. See, now this registration is a very complicated and important process. So we can't completely rely merely on the signatures and facts submitted by the company and its promoters. So we need a professional party to be engaged. So in that situation, this second declaration stating the same thing, that all the requirements have been complied, this declaration will be signed by a practicing chartered accountant, or a practicing company secretary, or a practicing advocate, or even a practicing cost accountant can sign this document. So any of these practicing professionals can sign this second document, which states the declaration that all the laws have been complied with respect to the company. So this final declaration also has to be attached when the company is being registered. So now all these are the different attachments and forms that have to be filled when the company is being registered. So now will there be some fees? Of course, fees is mandatory too. So along with these documents, there will be some prescribed fees that has to be given by the company to the registrar. So let us revise the entire procedure. First of all, the name has to be reserved using run facility and filing INC 1. 6 names will be given in preferential order. The second step is to draft the memorandum of association and the article of association. The third step is that the details of the subscriber has to be given along with their identity proofs. The fourth step is that the details of the registered office has to be submitted. The fifth detail is with respect to the first directors. So, the particulars of the first directors, their identity proofs, their DIN and their consent has to be submitted. The next document that has to be submitted is the affidavit, which has to be signed by all the subscribers to the memorandum, stating that they have not been convicted in any offence with respect to formation of the company, that they are not guilty of any breach under the previous Companies Act, that all the information and documents that have been submitted are correct as per their knowledge. And then finally, there has to be a declaration which is to be submitted by a professional. It could be a practicing advocate, practicing CA, practicing company secretary, or practicing cost accountant. They have to declare that all the requirements of the Act and rules have been satisfied. Along with that, this same declaration also has to be submitted by either the directors of the company or secretary or manager of the company, stating that the requirements of the Act and the rules have been satisfied. After all of these documents, there is some prescribed fees that has to be paid also. So after all of these documents are submitted by the promoters and the CA to the registrar, so where the registrar finds any discrepancies, it finds that some of the documents are missing or some of the details are not there, then they can ask the promoters to submit those details again. So then after all of these details have been submitted and the registrar is satisfied that this company will be a genuine company, then it will issue an acknowledgement. So after the perusal of all of these documents, if the registrar thinks that these documents are correct and that this company will be a genuine company, then in that situation, the registrar will issue an acknowledgement stating that now on this company is a registered company, which means that there will be a certificate of incorporation which will be issued by the registrar in the name of this company. So now this certificate of incorporation is going to state the name of this company, the date on which this company shall be deemed to have come into existence, and it will also state a very specific identification number for this company. It is called the SIN. So what is a SIN? SIN is the corporate identification number. So every company has a specific SIN. So here also this company will be given a specific identification number that will be used in quoting in different kind of forms that this company will be submitting in the future with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. That is, it will be submitting it with the registrar. So these details are mentioned in the certificate of incorporation. So now what happens if the company submits the wrong details? That means what if the details of the subscribers are wrong, or what if they have mentioned the address of the registered office, however there is no actual office in reality. In fact, that address does not even exist. Maybe they have given an object in the memorandum, however they plan to do something else on the contrary. It may also happen that they have specified certain authorized capital, however that may not be true. They are simply lying about certain details about the company. So now what happens if the details which are given when the documents are submitted for the registration of the company, those details are wrong? What happens? So now they have definitely declared that whatever details they have given are correct. So we know that the subscribers submit a declaration stating that all the details that are given are true. However, what happens if they are not true? What happens if these subscribers are trying to fool the registrar? They are trying to fool the government. They are trying to create a fake company. So in that situation, whenever the government finds out about it, they will be in trouble. So wherever there is fraud, there comes a section called section number 447. So now this section is not in your course, however, it has been referred to in different parts of the Act in your syllabus also. So we will understand what section 447 is. See, if the company and its promoters are engaged in fraud when they are trying to form a company, they will be punished under section 447. This section 447 is the section with the harshest penalty in the whole Companies Act. So now section 447 says that a person, if he has committed some fraud, then he shall be liable to a minimum of 6 months of jail, and this jail can go up to 10 years also. And if there is a public interest involved, that is, if a large number of people are being affected by this fraud, then the minimum jail will be at least 3 years. So imagine 3 years of minimum jail and a maximum of 10 years of jail. That is a lot of time to serve. Along with that, there is fine also. So along with this penalty, section 447 also states a fine. Now this fine is with respect to the amount of fraud. So if the fraud amount is mentioned, then the minimum fine shall be that fraud amount, and it can go up to 3 times of fraud amount. So where a person is engaged in frauding the people and say the amount that he has benefited is 50 lakh rupees, then he will pay a penalty of 50 lakh, and it can go up to 3 times. That is, he can pay up to 1.5 crore of penalty. Plus, he will also have to go to jail a minimum of 3 years to a maximum of 10 years. So that is very harsh penalty. That is what is given in section number 447. So wherever a person is engaged in fraud and it is found out, then he will be liable under section 447. So this is what our section is also saying. So section 7 says that if a promoter or if a group of promoters are trying to fool the registrar, they are trying to fool the government by giving wrongful details in this registration procedure, then they shall be liable under section 447. So apart from 447, there is one more thing which is said. So what section 7 says, that if suppose one person has filed a complaint against this company. So suppose in our example, say Amar, Akbar and Anthony, when they were trying to register the company, they gave some fake capital details, they gave some fake names of the subscribers, and suppose they gave some fake details about the registered office also. So in that situation, definitely we know that they are liable under section 447. But someone has to complain. Someone has to figure out that they were lying. Once the company is registered, now the registrar will not bother about checking the basic details. So whenever someone finds out, so suppose in this situation some third party finds out that this company is engaged in some illegal procedures. So in that situation, that third party will probably file a case against this company. So where such third party files a case against this company, they will go to the National Company Law Tribunal. They will go to the NCLT. Now in that situation, the NCLT will check through the entire case. They will see that the documents that they submitted, that Amar, Akbar and Anthony submitted when they were registering the company, they were false. The details in those documents, they were false. So in that situation, what can the tribunal do? So see, there are certain things that the tribunal can do. The tribunal can change the name of the company. They can say that, listen, now you have already started the company, but the details are wrong, so you better change the name. You function with a different name, a whole different identity. This is one thing that the tribunal can do. However, in severe cases, the tribunal can ask this company to completely change the memorandum and article of association also. So now suppose Amar, Akbar and Anthony have stated in their memorandum that they will be doing the business of selling fruits and vegetables. However, they are actually engaged in textile business. So now if the tribunal finds out, it can say that, listen, if you want to do textile business, you do, but you change your memorandum. So the tribunal can also ask the company to alter its memorandum and article of association if the details are wrong. So suppose the effect of this fraud is major. That means a lot of people are influenced by it. So if suppose they have given a registered office detail and that registered office does not exist. So in that situation, many people have purchased the shares of this company of Amar, Akbar and Anthony. However, now when these shareholders actually inquired, there is no business, there is no registered office. Actually, there is no business at all that these three people are doing. So what happens in that situation? What happens if this company is merely on papers and there is nothing to actually prove that this company is doing any sort of business? So if all the details relating to the registration are fraud, are fake, so in that situation, the tribunal might say that this company needs to be deleted. It has to be wound up. This company has to be killed in a way. So its legal entity has to be finished. So that can also be an order. So wherever an application is sent to the tribunal might change the name of the company, it might change the memorandum and article of association of the company, or it might strike off the company or wind up the company. The tribunal might also say that the subscribers of the company, that is Amar, Akbar and Anthony, will have unlimited liability. So we understand that the tribunal can also change the liability of the company. So it can change the liability from limited to unlimited. Few of the people who were engaged in this fraud, their liability can be made unlimited by the tribunal also. So this is all that the tribunal can do. And apart from that, of course, there is a penalty of section 447 also. So wherever there is fraud in creation of the company, then there will be penalty of section 447, and the tribunal can also pass certain orders in order to wind up the company, strike off the company, or make the liability of this company unlimited, or change the name or memorandum of this company. So that is your section number 7. So now you understand how a company has to be registered and what happens if the company is registered with false details.